Shadow Show.
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 Shadowing it.
Stugotz just came through here with a single piece of bacon in his right hand. He walks around without putting it on a plate or anything, without having a napkin. I don't see him get a napkin afterward either. And then he immediately said to everybody, "Quick heater, I'll be right back." Billy, however, got right in his seat because it's a bit of a fire drill. They got to get God Bless Football out. It's the morning takes. Billy, how did it go this morning? Because I am hearing that you were more upset this weekend about the Dolphins than anyone has seen you in a while. That
Really?
They really triggered a good amount of passion in you. Is that on display in God Bless Football?
You might like this, and I don't know that the fans of God Bless Football like this. I, for the first time, and I feel like you're going to be happy, and this is a terrible sell. I, for the first time, was like, I don't want to do Dolphins on God Bless Football. Like, I need to save some of this because what's going to happen is we'll do 40 minutes of me just getting mad at the Dolphins, and it will be an unlistenable episode. And then once we get to, like, this show, I'll have already done all the Dolphins stuff. So I held back this morning on some of the Dolphins
So
stuff.
you're embargoing the unlistenable stuff for us?
No, not unlistenable stuff.
Attaboy.
I'm just no.
What up?
No, you're not understanding. No. I'm saving the good stuff for you, which Stugotz didn't like, but I'm saving some of the Dolphins' good stuff for you. But the way that I view it is that we do like a local hour here, so we're going to talk a lot of Dolphins. On God Bless Football, we try to cover all of the games, right? Even some of the games that people don't care about because someone out there, in theory, might care about it. So we try not to make it too Dolphin-centric. Also, I do it with two Jets fans, so it becomes a Jets show the entire time.
So I'm getting the bad stuff.
No, you didn't get
Right.
You were there. What's going on right now?
This is what he wants. This is what he wants, Billy. He wants to ride the unicorn in the sky so he could just sit there for 40 minutes listening to you and then go smoke his heater. Like, he wants you to give him the good Dolphin stuff so that he could just sit there and not have to work as hard. You're the magical unicorn farting dolphin rage.
Huh.
And it soars into the sky. It flutters into the sky. It has great value. What we have today that most shows in America do not have is we've got a Mike Ryan who has helped build the University of Miami program into the juggernaut it is today. First 4 games as strong as any 4 they've ever produced to start a season.
Yeah.
And we've got Billy furious at the Dolphins because, Chris, tell me I'm wrong. Roy, tell me I'm wrong. It feels, and this is poison 3 weeks into the season, like you are on flimsy terrain on having your entire season.
It's over already.
Season ruined trying to get to the concussed quarterback possibly being available in 5 weeks with your season intact in some way, with something to play for. Because what happened yesterday, everybody saw this. The betting money came in on, well, the system and Tyreek will be able to get 17 points in Seattle, right?
Is that guy even on the team anymore? Where the hell has Tyreek Hill been? Where has he been?
Right.
What the hell is going on with fans in this market? They're starting to turn on Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, hot seat.
I mean-
Hot seat for him. Hot seat for him. This guy is a genius. And by the way, as a fan base, as a community, a city,
Why do
and
you
an
go
NFL
by the
fan
way
base,
before you ever get to the original point?
because
Like,
I made the first one in my head already, and I've moved on to the second
Okay.
one. By the way, here's the thing, because we're going to get back to Mike McDaniel, genius, in a moment. Everybody says Tua's so bad, you can't give him the max money, this guy's not a good quarterback, and every time he's not playing, this team completely falls apart. Now, we're ignoring how bad he was against the Bills pre-concussion. Forget about that, because that doesn't help the argument. But every time he's out, we see how bad this team is. And this is a construction issue, my friend. This is an issue with
You're
construction.
standing up again?
Yes, because here's what
people can't-
happened.
Save it for
Here-
He's
the
rolling.
show.
I'm glad he's doing it here. I mean,
By the way, and here's the thing, to start a thought, both of them.
It's Monday. We're an hour in.
I mean, they got the Titans and Patriots coming up next.
Don't fall for it.
The schedule looks
Don't
nice.
fall for it.
Next few weeks.
Don't fall for it. False promises.
All those teams are thinking the same
Don't
thing
fall
about the
for this,
Dolphins.
guys. Don't fall for this. Take these wins, but you can't let them off the hook. Keep this team accountable. Keep this coach accountable. Chris Greer, I'm watching you.
Oh, no.
He's got an eye on
might
him.
be next.
Yes.
What?
You might be next, Greer.
Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget about peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. Right girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I want to do the whole league, Stugotz. I want to talk on a Football Monday about all of the things that happened yesterday. But I also want to ride the bucking bronco that is Billy Gill into the sky, because it feels like the Dolphins' season was ruined yesterday because, and I don't mean to be apocalyptic about this, but it could feel pretty hopeless to go to Seattle, look like the worst team in the league, and worse than that, wait a minute, for the first time, the local people had celebrated the idea that they might have offense. Oh, it doesn't travel when you got to do it with the backup quarterback in a league where you can't get good quarterback play from the good quarterback. So as soon as you get to the bad quarterbacks in week 3, your season's going to limp toward week 7.
Unless your bad quarterback is Andy Dalton. I mean, how about that? I mean, the red rifle.
Well, that was one of the more interesting things about yesterday. That's a long, painful season, and if you start 0-2, those teams, they don't really want to have their season ruined at 0-3. So the 0-2 teams all of a sudden win in Tampa, and Carolina goes to the Raiders. Explain that. Like, honestly, I know it's just red rifle. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
The Raiders win at the Ravens.
Right.
And then they go home and they get crushed by Andy Dalton on the road, an offense that hadn't scored points in the first quarter all season until Dalton gets in there, and then they go right down the field.
Football. I mean, seriously. Think about the undefeated, and I'm sorry, I said this already on God Bless Football, but it's funny. The undefeated quarterbacks through 3 weeks in the NFL. I mean, it's Geno Smith. It is Sam Darnold. It is Justin Fields. It is Patrick Mahomes. It is Josh Allen.
Do you have that recycling truck?
And Andy Dalton.
I don't want his recycled God Bless Football stuff here. I want God Bless Football to be a fresh entity that has its own material. I don't want reheated leftovers from Stugotz. Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
And Billy, I need your help here to keep him honest, because he won't do that very often, what he just did, where he calls himself on making the first point of this show the point he's already made on God Bless Football.
Well, it's just a larger point of we know nothing about this sport. We think we do every single year. You don't. I do. Most people do, and we know nothing.
I don't understand sometimes what happens week to week in that sport. I don't think a lot of people had Minnesota being great, and now they'll do Flores, O'Connell, Darnold, but they appear to 2 years ago, the Vikings were, what was it, 12-5, 13-4, and it was all one-score wins. It was a mirage. Nobody believed that was anything. They're throttling people. Like, it's not just Sam Darnold's pretty good. It's if they blitz you with Flores, you can't do anything. That's C.J. Stroud that's C.J. Stroud and those skill guys who looked like they couldn't do anything on first and second down.
Everyone wants to talk about Darnold, but I agree with you. I mean, Brian Flores, say what you want about him and how he handled Tua, that dude can coach defense. Anywhere he goes, that defense is good.
They've given up 30 points in 3 games. They're good.
I saw a lot of people saying with Brian Flores, and man, this happens fast in that league, to Mike McDaniel. A whole bunch of people were looking to join that class action suit with Brian Flores yesterday.
I mean, it is interesting that the Mike McDaniel thing, I'm not turning on him, but he gets compared to Kyle Shanahan. Whenever Kyle Shanahan has lost his quarterback, the next quarterback comes in, and you're amazed that, wow, this offense still kind of seems to run. Without Tua, the Mike McDaniel offense, maybe they've just had really bad quarterbacks. Maybe C.J. Beathard, who Kyle Shanahan has had, is better than Skylar Thompson. It's just, I don't know. For the Mike McDaniel genius, we got to see a little bit more. I get it. You need the quarterback. But show me a little bit more with the backup quarterback.
We are not at the point that we're longing for C.J. Beathard.
No, I'm just saying.
That's not what this is supposed to be.
If this offense is such a well-oiled machine, if McDaniel's running that Kyle Shanahan offense, why does that offense look better with backup quarterbacks
It's
than
going
this
to
one
turn.
does?
It's turning already. It's turning. That's it.
But
it's
this
week
is a
3.
construction
It's done.
problem. I don't understand how they keep finding themselves in this position. This is a Dolphins construction problem that we figured out 3 years ago, right? Or 2 seasons ago. When Tua went down, the plan was Teddy Bridgewater. And then he went down, and then we had Skylar Thompson, and you learned Skylar Thompson wasn't good enough. And you could say he almost beat the Bills in Buffalo in a playoff game. But he didn't. And you learned that's not enough if you lose your starting quarterback. So what do? They go out and they bring in Mike White. And then Tua doesn't get hurt last year. And then they said, you know what? Mike White, we don't want to pay you. So if something happens, we have Skylar Thompson. He beat you out for the job. And yet again, we're learning Skylar Thompson is not good enough if Tua goes down.
Let me,
and then there's no backup plan. Tim Boyle is the plan
Fair.
if something happens to Skylar Thompson, who himself wasn't good enough. And, obviously this is Monday Morning Quarterback, but, you see the quarterbacks that are out there thriving, right? And if this system is so great and anyone can just fit in this system, which is what everybody tells us, Tua's not good enough, you just plug in the right quarterback and it can work. Sam Darnold looks like the MVP of the league right now. You couldn't get someone like a Sam Darnold to be a serviceable backup when you know that Skylar Thompson wasn't good enough. There was no plan for Tua going down, which I don't understand because he has the injury history. There's always that fear with him. Last year, he was clean the entire season, so you assume he's never going to get hurt again, and Skylar Thompson's the backup plan?
All of your criticism is going to be echoed by all of South Florida today. The only place I would pause and tell you, hold on just a second, is that he did beat out Mike White, and that Bills playoff game you were talking about, if it's this hard to play quarterback in that league for the good quarterbacks, they look like they stink. The ones who don't get reps are going to need a minute. You've seen what training camp has done to everybody else. I don't believe in Skylar Thompson either, but first game, when you haven't been the one getting all the reps, don't tell me you can go to Buffalo and put up 35 points with that offense, and you can go to Seattle and not have anything for offense, and the difference between those two players at quarterback is reps. It's the same player. But one of them is getting a month of preparation and the other one's getting a week.
But he's not good enough from the time that he was quarterback. You knew that's not
He should
enough
never
to
be
win
your
a
backup.
playoff
Right.
game. You knew that.
Okay, but the man making the assessment on that, you trusted 2 weeks ago to make those assessments. Shanahan made that assessment on Brock Purdy. Do you trust your coach or don't you?
I don't. I don't trust my coach because he's shown that he can't do things without Tua. Has he not? What has he done without Tua?
Here, nothing. Here, the closest they've come was to losing a playoff game in Buffalo.
I mean, it is fair criticism to say, hey, you have this quarterback, he's signed, you believe in him, we get that, but he's also prone to injury, right? So you might want to have a better backup. It's what the Jet fans went through last year when Aaron went down.
I know, Stugotz, and I don't want to do the backup quarterback show just because what I'm telling you when I say, well, do you trust him, or is your trust so flimsy that it loses one time at Seattle and you're like, no, doesn't know what he's doing in terms of quarterback selection? Because it seemed to me like you trusted him the last 2 seasons to be able to do offensive evaluation.
But it's not one time, right? It's been every time Tua's gone out, the season has somewhat fallen apart, right? And if you look at the schedule, the Dolphins have winnable games coming up. They have the Titans, they have the Patriots, they have the Colts, the Cardinals you don't really know, and then they have the Bills. So you very well could get back up to 500 here, right, with the Dolphins, and then convince yourself okay, things are fine. Skylar Thompson is fine. He just needed some reps, and it's because you're going up against bad teams.
Am I crazy for thinking that they already admitted that they know that the room is not good enough? They could have signed somebody that was just a player to put in that room. They signed Tyler Huntley. And look, Tim Boyle has never been a good quarterback at any level of football. He's never shown you anything.
It's an amazing stat line for Tim Boyle. His entire career, he's never been good at quarterback.
I'm fairly certain that once Huntley gets the playbook, because he's been here for about 5 minutes, he's going to climb up that depth chart. I don't think that there's a person that evaluates in the NFL that would tell you, maybe outside of the staff because he's just more familiar with the offense, but from a talent level, Skylar Thompson is not considered better than Tyler Huntley. I do think that they've already admitted to the world that they need to get better at that position.
But Billy's point, though, when he talks about structural, is you could have had Huntley long before now. You could have gotten
Before
him
the season,
whatever
yeah,
reps
yes.
it is. But I really don't want to do the backup quarterback show because I do think that what we're thinking when they sign Huntley to the practice squad is, oh, how fun, an athletic quarterback to go along with those skill guys. What happened to the Dolphins yesterday in Seattle was a betting line surprise because everybody thought McDaniel was going to be able to travel. All the games are close. It's every game is going to have Atlanta throwing into the end zone against the Chiefs at the end because they're all protecting the football and trying to throw for 200 yards. You got Dallas as a total finesse team. They can't run the ball, can't stop the run, and Jerry Jones spends the whole offseason putting money into the offensive and defensive lines and telling CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott to hold on. And they can't stop the run, and they can't run the football because of what it is that training camp has done to these people, because we're still sort of in reps mode on the first 3 seasons, and we're attaching stakes to it because you guys know that Myles Garrett yesterday is playing, and they're already saying, they're like, he's got 2 bad feet. But he says he's going to wait until the end of the season to handle it. That's a long time from now.
Season.
Yes, he's going to take surgery 15 games from now. The idea that injuries get built into the structure of what it is that you've built, and Tua gets hurt, we can talk all you want. They have no answer for that amount of their payroll going away. All you're trying to do is like win 2 of the 4 games, 2 of the 5 games, 2 of the 6 games.
Right.
You're just trying to get to the season to matter halfway through because you don't want everybody limping through this shit before he gets back. But think about what you're counting on. You're counting on a guy who's visiting neurologists. Like, you don't.
Well, that's Billy's point, Dan. Why not have Joe Flacco? Why not get Russell Wilson? Why not inquire about one of those guys?
Jimmy G.
In the event that Tua goes down, you have a backup so you don't have to miss a beat potentially.
They tried that the previous year, and their salary cap situation is such that they took a gamble and said, we don't want to commit millions of dollars at a backup position because we want to allocate that money elsewhere. And they lost the gamble.
The spending in this sport is interesting, Stugotz, because CeeDee Lamb, you see what's happening with the Cowboys, right? They're already visibly frustrated. They were fighting over money all offseason, and Jerry Jones is saying after the game, in that sport, Stugotz, you need it to be physical. He's saying we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. That's a running game that makes you physical upon landing. Yesterday, he had 12 broken tackles for an extra 45 yards.
He was great.
Because they weren't going to be 0-2, or 0-3 rather. The Ravens start 0-2, they're not going to be 0-3. Carolina start. Do you know how much of a misery that season is if the first 3 games in you lose all of them and your body physically hurts? I don't think there was a bigger factor in what happened yesterday. Denver going and getting 7 sacks of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, Bo Nix.
That was the most football thing yesterday. When they get out to a 14-0 lead, you're like, this is not how this
Carolina
is supposed to go.
was the most football thing yesterday.
Well,
Tampa's been
not really.
great the first 2 weeks, and it's just like it was just 14-0 before you could even blink.
The
in that
spread,
game.
the Raiders had a 5.5 point spread. The Bucks had a 6 point spread. All the games in that sport, that's where the numbers are going to be, and all of the people getting points like that. The Giants win outright at Cleveland because that Deshaun Watson situation is a disaster, man.
Big spreads are 11. Like I think it's if you're +6 or higher so far this season, you're 11-1 against the spread, 7-5 straight up. Teams that are +6 or higher.
You know who keeps winning? Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, 3-0, the Steelers. I want to go to Deshaun Watson, though, Mike, because
That's it. We've let the Dolphins off the hook. They're fine. Oh, we don't know
We'll get
what
back
to do
to
with
them.
them. All of these offensive pieces that they had that were supposed to be so great. Where is Tyreek Hill? Where has he been?
You mentioned
this season?
that. You mentioned.
He's
you
upset.
mentioned-
What is he
you
doing?
You wanted this.
Where
Where
is
is
Tyreek
he?
Hill?
Where is
He was
Tyreek
asking
Hill?
that question
Okay,
before.
I'm sorry. Here, let's go over Tyreek Hill's game logs. 7 receptions, 12 targets, 130 yards in week 1. An 80-yard touchdown accounted for the majority of those, but he only had 12 targets, which is, that's fine.
12 is a lot of targets.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Only.
Week 2, 6 targets, 3 receptions, 24 yards. Week 3, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 40 yards. Why are we not throwing to him? And if he's being double covered, you can't get to him. Where's Jalen Waddle? Where's Jonnu Smith? Odell Beckham. Can you go play?
Where's Travis Kelce?
Travis Kelce has
3-0.
Travis Kelce has had plays called back because of penalties. If we're going to be fair, he's had 40-yard receptions called back because of penalties.
Okay.
So, like, if we're going to play the game log, then we can look at it and see the games that the plays didn't count.
They called a penalty against the Chiefs? That's crazy.
That is crazy. They got away with a pass interference in the end zone yesterday that I don't know how they got away with.
I'm so bothered. Remember the one time that
Yes.
franchise and Patrick Mahomes felt wronged by the refs?
Oh
All the complaining, the biggest crybabies on the friggin' planet.
Thank you.
They've got 2 wins now because the refs just have given them the benefit of the whistle. That's it. That goes to show you the power of Patrick Mahomes in this league. Guy acts totally unprofessionally. Such an outsized reaction to the officials, giving them one obstacle, and he didn't shut up about it. And ever since then, they've been the most ref-friendly team in the league. The refs love the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is crazy. What Mike is saying and what Stugotz got dangerously close to being thrown in the penalty box for agreeing with, giving Mike a thank you on Chiefs Talk, is I don't believe across sports in the last few years that we've had a bigger crybaby display than the one the Chiefs put on when they lost the game for a call.
And it was the right call. The dude was offside. Everybody was just like, you just can't do that in that spot.
Nah, that
What
wasn't
are you talking
offside.
about? He was
I'll stand by
offside.
that
one.
They
Preach,
drew a line.
bullshit
He was
call.
offside. And we
Kadarius
allowed them
Toney
to
was
ask like this.
Wasn't it Kadarius Toney or was somebody
Yeah, it was
else?
Kadarius Toney. Yeah, we just allowed them to act like that because everyone's like, well, I guess.
No, we didn't allow them. No, they got. Look, I can't
was a bad
remember.
call.
I cannot remember in the last 5 years of Chief dominant football. And God Almighty, Stugotz, I hate that this sport has now turned Patrick Mahomes into 5 yards per attempt guy.
I know.
I can't tell you how much I dislike that that's happened. And
You know what's also super annoying to me, though, Dan? It's like every time the defense finally catches up to the offenses in this league, offenses that you wax poetic for almost a decade on end in this league, the second that the defenses catch up, Mel Kiper's saying take away the 2 high safeties. Like, we can't allow the defense to actually play their side of the game. We can't allow it. No, it's unfair. We can't have Patrick Mahomes going 5 yards per attempt. A little credit to the defense. What happened to Tyreek Hill? He ran into one of the game's most brilliant defensive minds. That's what happened.
Okay, and you're not wrong about anything you're saying, except I'm coming at this simply as a customer who wants his Sunday entertainment to be fun. And I don't want great, majestic talents who have mastered the game reduced to 209 yards passing on 24 of 29 with an interception and a fumble because the defense is so good that he's going to have to settle for 22 points when I always thought that offense was going to go 30. Because 4 years ago, he was going 9 yards per attempt. It was twice as much yardage because he had Tyreek Hill. I don't like that kind of football, and it's a plague throughout the sport. Like, as soon
It's
as
not a plague. Dude, you wanna say how great and majestic Patrick Mahomes is at playing the sport, but Harrison Smith is not entitled to play his sport as brilliantly.
Yep.
No,
Well said.
sorry.
Right.
You can't be good at your job. This guy can be.
You can celebrate defense all you want. I prefer offense, and I'm allowed.
You've
to
had plenty of offense over the last 3 or 4
Agreed.
years. I mean, a good defensive struggle. I've been telling you forever. It's fun. I mean,
You had all the rules, and now you're upset
Eagles
that they
game,
figured it out.
Saints game like yesterday. No,
great
no,
game.
thank you.
15-12.
No,
Oh, yeah.
that was a doozy.
Football.
That's football.
Yeah.
That's football.
Look, I'm not gonna BS you, Dan. I'm laying on my couch wishing that the games were a little bit more fun too. But am I gonna take away? I'm fine sacrificing my fun to watch these brilliant defensive minds and these great defensive players finally figure out something that seemed impossible to figure out. It's like we can't just say let's change this sport because they got too good at it.
Well, first of all, they do that all the time.
We can only do that with Wembanyama.
Right.
They do it all the time throughout sports.
But why can't Spags be great? Huh?
He is great.
I know.
Nobody is disputing.
Acknowledge it.
that
MVP.
Be careful with the Chiefs stuff.
Yes, please be
Well,
careful.
something's off, but-
Yes.
It's his hair color.
I just, for me, and I regret that I didn't start with college football today because I'm just not that interested in that Broncos-Bucks game, even if it's the biggest surprise in the sport. It's not an aesthetically pleasing thing that I'm watching. I prefer to watch the offensive players be great than the defensive players, although I, too, am amazed that nobody can block T.J. Watt. That T.J. Watt is 3-0. They might as well have T.J. Watt at quarterback. They might as well just snap him the ball, because it's not just that team is 3-0. It's that in the fourth quarter, they're going to ground you to dust. Like that Justin Herbert, Herbert, if you limp into that game, they are going to go ahead and hurt the rest of your body the remainder of the game. And in the fourth quarter, your team is just going to pack it up and be like, yep, we lost by 10. We can only score 10 points. We got them early. And we wouldn't score again, because how can no one block T.J. Watt? How is T.J. Watt the best member at football in his family? How is that possible?
Mm-hmm. And people ask you, hey, what's the matter? Well, we play Tomlin.
Yes. But I want to talk a little bit of college football, though, because I thought the big story of the weekend, bigger than a Colorado Hail Mary, bigger than Mike Ryan's Hurricanes buying their way to the top of the game with like the Tennessees and the Texases, because
they're all buying their way now, though.
But their offense is elite. Their quarterback is elite, even if they haven't played anybody. But before we get to that, I thought the biggest story of the college football weekend, and the happiest I saw anyone on Greg Cody's 70th birthday party boat, was the way that FIU football lost to Monmouth with Billy broadcasting the game.
Who was happy about this?
Well, I'll tell you in a second, because Meadowlark Media, as you know, is a place where people don't seem to root for each other. They seem to derive joy from the failure of others. I've never seen Taylor as happy as he was on Greg Cody's boat when he.
Why the fuck was Taylor on that boat?
When he wandered around telling everybody, did you see how FIU lost at the end? Here's Goldie, Steve Goldstein, on the call, Stugotz. Now, the situation is this. There are 43 seconds left in the game. It's an offensive game. The Panthers have a 2nd and 1. They're down 3 to Monmouth. It's 45-42. They're in field goal range, easy field goal range, and 2nd and 1 makes this. So they are nearly guaranteed to tie this football game at the very least, and certainly can win it here because of the offense in the game. But here's what happens at the 1-yard line.
Normally rotate, but without wide receiver 1, left guard 1.
Jenkins throws. He's got Rivers over the middle, complete. Breaks a tackle at the 10. Bounces it outside at the 5. Rivers trying to get in the end zone. Taken down.
Lost the ball.
And it's a fumble. Monmouth thinks they have it at the goal line. And they do.
Oh, no.
Oof. Wow.
That guy with the fanny pack.
For the audio audience there, the runner catches the ball around the 10, is getting his way to and gets up to the goal line, and then just gets kind of spun around, and then you see a bunch of players, and he loses the ball. They fumble at the 1-yard line, down 3.
It looked, momentum and weight suggested that he's going to fall into the end zone with the football, and they're going to have the lead with 32 seconds left. But instead, he fumbles at the 1-yard line, and then Greg Cody's party got off the ground, because Taylor was telling everybody who would listen. He was introducing himself to strangers, telling anyone who would listen, did you see how it is that FIU lost the football game?
Was anyone listening?
I got to be honest with you. It seems like it was a sad party. Seems like it was a sad party. And I felt bad for Greg. I don't know if it's, a consequence of getting to 70 that your friends become Taylor and your vote. All of a sudden, this boat was like VIP. You couldn't get invited. And then I saw every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this office was at that party. And I was like, wow, Greg really doesn't have any friends, huh?
Well, we got some no's in the office.
I mean, just reach out to like cousins, second cousins, anyone else. But
there's like 100 people there. Why is Greg Cody
Taylor's
catching
there.
strays because of
He should
FIU?
not.
Jeez,
You're right.
lashing out. At Greg
No,
Cody.
it's not Greg. I'm just saying. I saw some of the photos and videos of this thing. Oh, how did this person get invited to this boat party? You know, and Taylor's there. Taylor, by the way, is dead to me. I'm just gonna say that right now. Taylor is dead to me, and we may be coworkers, but I will not be working with him moving forward because I extended an invite for him to cover this game, get video for the company of me covering this game. I was on the call for this game, and he said, I'll do a Tuesday game. You're not invited to a Tuesday game, bud, and I'll make sure you're never invited to the cage ever again. Whatever minor strings I have, I will make sure I flex to ban you from Pitbull Stadium so that you never go there. I will talk to whoever I need to make sure you're not allowed at Pitbull Stadium ever again, Taylor Vipolis.
Can you do the same for me?
His coach quit on his team after the game because he didn't want to deal with the Taylors of the world anymore.
Dan Le Batard.
I may take it one step further.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You're getting sexier by the moment.
Slow down. We haven't even gotten.
Stugotz.
I'm gonna
Jason Sanders, you're on notice.
Oh, my God.
One in spite of him.
Oh, wow.
I love you, Duke.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Do you have anything for Jason Sanders on God Bless Football?
No, I don't think I said anything about him, that guy.
Wasn't his fault.
Oh,
I mean, he missed another.
listen, someone needs to
50-yarder.
step it up. When the starting QB goes down, someone needs to step it up, and it's not the field goal kicker missing kicks again. 57-yarder obviously is no gimme. Unless you play for the Cowboys, then you can kick the ball from 75 yards.
Justin Tucker's suddenly the worst in the league from 50 yards.
3
out of
weeks in a
nowhere.
row, he's missed a kick. I'm Father Time. That one we mentioned. You get back up. Yeah, Father Time undefeated. He was one of our big losers in Winners or Losers, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. And Winners and Losers, yeah.
Stugotz, I feel like I know that the way that you and Chris Cody bet, okay? I don't believe that you can stay away from Bucks -6 against
I did it.
Denver.
Yeah.
That you take the
Pounded
Bucks.
it, yeah.
That you take the Bucks. I believe that you see Giants against Cleveland at home, and you take Cleveland -6.5.
I did not yesterday, but normally I would. You're right. Yes.
I feel like I can find the games where Chris and Stugotz are going to bet, oh, I love this favorite to win the way Seattle did yesterday. But when I tell you, do you have the stomach to go what would be obvious tonight, which is none of you think Jacksonville's going to stay within 5 points of Buffalo, but they're 0-2. Are you brave enough to play against the Bills and take Jacksonville +5 just because football games are close and these 0-2 teams are desperate not to start 0-3?
I am not brave enough. I will be pounding the Buffalo Bills tonight. That is, Dan. -5 at home against an 0-2 team.
But did you hear the numbers that Chris just gave you on? If you're getting points in this league right now, you're feeling good about everything. You're doing what. When you look at what happened in the Minnesota game yesterday, I know what we're all doing there. I know how the betting money comes in on Houston, and it's believing that what you've seen of Sam Darnold all your life is you know who Sam Darnold is.
Yeah.
But you don't know who Sam Darnold is.
I don't know anything anymore.
It's a disaster that he has an MRI today, because I don't think they could just do that with any quarterback. But they are presently doing it with someone I thought was just any quarterback. Billy, Jason Sanders missing kicks.
I feel like, and look, I don't want anyone to lose their job. And I'm not saying that a normal circumstance is a week 3 57-yard field goal miss would necessitate you losing your job. However, this team right now may be at sacrificial lamb time.
Whoa!
I'm telling you.
Wow.
Whoa.
I think that something needs to happen to shake up this team, and it may be releasing your kicker. And again, I'm not rooting for that. I know that people look. There are a few times that people on this earth think about Billy Gill. And for whatever reason, one of those times is every time Jason Sanders misses a field goal. It's like everyone reaches out to me and is like, what is he going to say? What's going to happen here? They start tweeting, did you see what happened to Jason Sanders? And it's like, look, I'm not rooting for Jason Sanders' downfall. I'm not hoping he misses kicks. It's counterintuitive for me to be rooting for him to miss kicks because it hurts me directly if he misses kicks.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Would you sacrifice a lamb if your team was 0-2 or 1-2?
You need to do something to shake things up right now. They're not clicking on all cylinders. They're only clicking on some cylinders.
But a lamb, would you be personally willing to sacrifice the lamb?
How many lambs do I have?
Lamb chops do sound good right now.
I don't know whether any of you would be hunter enough or outdoorsman enough to actually care about your football team enough to sacrifice the lamb yourself.
Us?
Yes, any of you. There are people in our audience. There are hunters and outdoorsmen.
When you sacrifice a lamb, can you use the parts?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's not a total loss.
No, but I'm asking you if you would sacrifice an actual lamb. You sound very mad today. You've just fired. You really did just fire Jason Sanders.
I did not do that.
If you make him a sacrificial lamb, you're telling him he's not on the team anymore.
I said it might be time. I don't make these decisions. Chris Greer makes these
You're
decisions.
the only one
and
who
we all
makes
know
these decisions.
Chris Greer doesn't
They're
make the
your
best
words.
decisions.
Right.
What?
The
Huh?
choice
Who
of
said
your
that?
words is you are saying sacrificial lamb.
Something
time.
has to change. Does something not have to change? The Dolphins are trending in the wrong direction.
You did something very good. You did
Thank
something
you.
very sharp, and you pushed it off of FIU Monmouth. And
I did?
Yes, you put it.
No,
on,
we went to break.
You put it on Taylor. No,
He's
you,
been banned.
You went.
The VIPs in the YouTube chat are saying Taylor Rippolis because he's dead to me.
Okay, let's. Taylor's got a countermeasure that he's firing at you because he was already sour about Saturday, Stugotz, because his North Carolina team, led by Coach Mac Brown,
He calls his fans the VIPs.
Yeah, that's Taylor's fan base in the chat, the VIPs.
You didn't know that?
They've turned on him. They're calling Taylor Rippolis, the RIPs they're known as now. Yeah.
his team at the half. He's done with Mac Brown. Stunning that Mac Brown couldn't keep up with NIL. His team was down to James Madison at home, 53-21 at the half.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like a legitimately big favorite, North Carolina, double-digit favorite, down 53-21 at home to a James Madison. Like I think I've watched sports all my life, and I don't think I can give you an example of that happening at halftime of a game. So now Taylor is singing or he's serenading Mac Brown out the door.
Well, I'd fire Mac Brown. Yeah, I'd fire Mac Brown. Watching this team is my personal hell. Yeah, I'd fire Mac Brown.
I don't know why he's employed here.
I'll fire Mac Brown. No, okay.
No.
He went on this cruise for Greg Cody, and you're not wrong, Billy, when you say it was a party for old people.
I apologize. I feel like Greg got some strays, and that was not my intention last segment. I apologize. I would like to apologize.
To who?
I don't know. Someone.
Okay.
The
Greg,
party?
I guess.
The party?
No, Greg.
I will agree that the party deserves.
White guys. White.
I was there.
I did see.
No, it was the vibe.
Oh, the vibe was white. Okay.
I did see a video of Jeremy and Yeti performing with Greg. I guess the Hee Haw 3 made a return, and I was like, kind of worked out that I had the FIU game that day.
Well, there were supposed to be 3 or 4 songs that Yeti had prepared, but Greg Cody's a diva, and it was his birthday, and so he just refused. Like, Jeremy was dying to play a whole concert at sea.
Also, Amin pointed this out. So on brand of my dad at his 70th to sing to people. It's like usually at your party, people perform.
They sing
you're
to
watching.
you. Yeah.
He's like, it's my party. I'm going to sing.
He's the
It's
entertainment.
most Greg Cody thing ever.
Stugotz, would you be willing to part with your phone for a second to see the exchange between you and Greg Cody on you canceling that you were going to go to what it is that we were doing on Saturday, and then at 2 p.m.? What are you making faces about, Billy?
I have more information on this.
Right. I mean,
I know what happened.
He's trying to help you out.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, you were very eager to go to a phone.
I mean, what am I going to do? Say no 20 years in? You want my phone? You want a private conversation? I'm not going to do that to you. I mean, trying to be a good teammate.
Okay, but Billy's got more information on what's actually happened here, and all I know is that you didn't go to a party you RSVP'd for.
That is fair, yes. And I apologize to Greg and his lovely wife and to the entire Cody family.
But I don't think that anybody was surprised by you RSVPing and then not going. That's what everyone expected. In fact, the surprise there is that you RSVP'd at all.
Yes. Well, Greg responded to me telling him that I'm not going, saying this is the least surprising text I have ever received in my life.
At what time was it before the party? Because the point of RSVPing is that they pay for a meal for you.
Yeah, I'll have to make that up to Greg. I don't know how much the meal costs, but I plan on paying for it.
Bullshit.
I sent that at around 2 o'clock.
Yo, chicken time. You're not going to pay for shit, bro.
it's time stamped. I have the time. Oh, me paying him back.
Yeah, paying him back. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
For a piece of chicken and some salad.
I'll cook him something. I will.
I'm sure something Julia Child, roasted chicken in a Dutch oven. I'm sure you're going to produce it.
Dutch oven?
Huh?
Some pasta.
Crazy.
That's farting under a blanket.
I've got a weekend planned for me and Greg. That's all I can say. And it may or may not include Chris Cody. I mean, I'm not sure yet. See how much it costs.
So Billy didn't go because he was calling FIU football and getting his heart broken by Heisman frontrunner, the Monmouth quarterback.
Yeah, you got to watch out for him. Monmouth quarterback. Derek Robertson. Heisman watch. I put him on Heisman. I'll tell you right now, put him on Heisman watch on God Bless Football. This guy's been incredible. 390 yards, 355 yards, 390 yards, 361 yards. Granted, he's in the FCS, so he probably won't win the Heisman. But if he was in the FCS, Heisman watch.
Mike Ryan,
Derek Robertson.
Mike Ryan Stugotz did not go because he is now traveling with the Hurricanes. And if you've been following this, yes, I don't think there are many fans nationally who have attached themselves to this project in Miami the way that Mike has, traveling with the team. Largely, the history of University of Miami football, they don't travel great, even when they're really good. I'm sure that Mike Ryan is traveling with a group of people that he's gotten to know because they're among the few that go to a lot of the Hurricane games. And so Miami goes up to South Florida and puts up a 50 spot. So Cam Ward has now started with more yardage, Stugotz, in the first 4 games than any quarterback in 25 years for the University of Miami.
Crazy.
Who's the last one? Testaverde? Like, it's 25 years since a quarterback started this way at Miami. I'm guessing it's pre-Dorsey. Dorsey didn't start this way.
Ja'Cory got out to a hot start.
25 years is what they're saying. It hasn't been this. 300 yards, 4 straight games. They've also scored more points than any point in 4 games to start a season in the history of the program.
The fewest amount of points they have in a game this season is 41. It's absurd,
So
Dan.
you get a true freshman, Jordan Lyle, clearly being faster than all of South Florida's players, and South Florida's players are fast. That offense can be good against everybody. That part is easy to see. Maybe someone in the future will have pass rush that gives them problems. Maybe there'll be a turnover issue, but there is no disputing that this is an elite offense with an elite quarterback. But Mike Ryan is making me insane because all he's doing is being totally reasonable about his football team. I text him, you've got an elite offense, and it's like, just taking care of business, Dan. We've got a shot to do something this year. It's all like said with a briefcase in his hand.
Right. Well, it's a business trip. I mean, he's right.
It's annoying.
Press conference speak is what he's giving
It's
you.
annoying.
But Mike put the team together or helped put the team together. He expected this. I mean, he's confident in his own evaluations.
I don't think he likes the appraisal of helped put the team together, but he was involved in the innards of what it is this was, and clearly Mario Cristobal, this can't be disputed, Stugotz, the part I'm about to say, because you look around the sport, Tennessee's obviously good, Ohio State's obviously good, Georgia's obviously good, Texas is obviously good. But in that next class of, can they be up there? This, what you've seen from Miami and that schedule, obvious playoff team.
Yeah. I think the Canes are in that class, actually, for this year.
I think their opponents yet have not shown that they are. I wouldn't feel comfortable against Texas or against even Georgia. I wouldn't feel comfortable, but still.
But that's a step, Dan, because normally I would not feel comfortable going to Louisville. But I do this year because I think the Canes are that good.
Mike Ryan, why are you being so reasonable?
I've been reasonable for several years. Yeah, I don't understand why this is a surprise. The only thing that's changed is the results are different. Yeah, but I've been the same guy I've been for the last 3 years, and I get no credit for that. But yeah, you guys keep wanting to talk about the University of Miami, and you keep throwing out the same things, the tired catchphrases of the U is being back.
Yeah.
Every week I walk in here, the U is back. No, we're back to work.
Exactly right.
The U is back to work.
9 to 5.
And I am also back to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know who was back this week, and I'm wondering, like, from the fan base's perspective, the boosters' perspective, all of the perspectives that you have, the turnover chain made a Brief
That
cameo.
was organic. That was it was very brief. It showed up. A fan handed a walk-on player. He got an interception. Guy makes plays in practice a lot.
Yeah.
He got handed a turnover chain. He put it on. The Canes were there was a great amount of cockiness attached to this certain performance. Cam Ward baiting a late hit penalty because he was pointing at the defender chasing him. And twice in this game, and it's not the first time it's happened this season, Cam Ward pointing directly at the defensive line, telling them where they're going to run the ball. And then Miami runs the ball there at that exact spot. Cam Ward tells the opposing defense and scores a touchdown. So yeah, some of the fun is back at Miami.
Well, and the celebrations. They were doing this on the sidelines, and this harkened back to a different age. I have not seen the celebration that involves obvious pantomime of spanking. There was spanking going on. Old Canes in uniforms once upon a time, they never dared to do the spanking. The celebrations were generally sensual in nature, but I have not seen synchronized spanking.
It was a great atmosphere. That stadium was certainly louder than the Swamp. Swamp wasn't loud at all. This was a loud stadium that was filled mostly with Miami Hurricanes fans, and it's great to see, and hopefully everyone comes out on Friday.
Mike, at this point, you would be surprised if the Canes don't make the playoffs. I would be surprised.
I'm not looking.
They don't play anyone.
We got Virginia Tech on Friday. We've been very bad in this conference.
Right.
We got an
one
ACC
game at a time
size chip on this shoulder.
Right.
That we need. If you're national and you cover this program occasionally, anytime they make a little bit of noise, you always assume that's a team that'll fall apart in the ACC. They'll lose to like Wake Forest or something like that. So we got a lot to prove this weekend. We're not going to take our.
I don't
opponent
like
lightly.
this. Can you guys help me with this?
Business
I don't like what's happening here. I mean, Mario Cristobal at the Swamp is cracking gator jaws over his knee, and Mike Ryan's taking him one game at a time.
That's flashy. We don't. We like the play on the field to speak for
Business
us.
as usual.
Just worried about Virginia Tech.
They're doing what's expected of them, Dan. What is there to celebrate? Doing your job? That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching in the corner of the screen here multiple players celebrating the pantomime spanking of an opponent.
That's
here.
actually an audible.
Yeah.
That's an audible call. He's signaling to the sideline bracket coverage.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Right. All business.
Mike Ryan being reasonable Cane fan is no fun. I was asked. This
You know
is
what I've noticed? My team also winning every week has not been very fun for the rest of this show, which is curious. Looking forward to Alex Golesh's interview on God Bless Football this
why
week.
are you doing this to me when I'm sitting
Why'd
here
you do
supporting
that to me for the last 4 years?
Because it was fun.
Yeah, okay.
Like you won't be there if they lose the games, dude.
I'll be right there.
after 4 years.
This is all a setup. You're all trying to draw me out so I can get emotional.
I don't think they're going to lose, Mike, until the playoff.
We're not talking playoffs. We're talking Virginia Tech.
No, okay. Well, so forgive me then, because it's fine that you don't want to go down this path, but it has been, Stugotz, a while since I am in the street, and by way of conversation, instead of the Heat, instead of the Dolphins, the entry point to people who want to talk to me is about the University of Miami. And it's also been a while since, not unlike with the Dolphins when they came upon offense, that I would say to you, whether you want to say the U is back or not, the schedule is easy enough and the offense is obviously good enough that they should be favored in all of their remaining games until the ACC championship based on what we've seen so far. Cam Ward is a legitimate Heisman candidate. He has announced himself to America on a whole lot of people aren't playing better than this right now. He has not yet turned the ball over very much. They have not played exceptional teams yet, but they don't play exceptional teams. And so when I'm telling you 4 games in that they will be favored against everybody they play against if their quarterback is healthy, that suggests to anyone listening that the team is relevant again in a way it wasn't even relevant when Mark Richt had him at 10-0, number 1 in the country going to Pittsburgh, and we all knew that team wasn't actually that good.
I agree with everything you just said, but I also understand Mike, who, at least for the last 15 years or so, has been a bit tortured as a Hurricanes fan, wanting to take this 1 week at a time. Like, not wanting to get too far ahead of himself because, Dan, he's smart. He looks at the schedule. He sees that the Canes have a massive opportunity here, but he just doesn't want to talk about it.
So
I'm with you. Not good for the show. But
no, I'm not even saying it's not good for the show. I would say my wife does this as a way to make sure that she doesn't feel great disappointment. If you put your expectations in a very reasonable place, you're less likely to be disappointed. But what I'm saying to you and everyone listening to this, if you're not willing to get excited about the fact that you have an elite quarterback, then when are you allowed to put your expectations in something? Because the reason that Billy and Chris are the way they are today is because of the expectations of the last couple of seasons of what they've seen from the offense, and then it goes to Seattle, and you're like, well, I'm used to the 24-3 game with all my shit teams that go up there with offense, but I'm supposed to have an offense that I'm going to get in the game no matter what, because even if I'm down 24-3, because of the skill guys I have. If you're not going to get excited about the fact that the University of Miami clearly has one of the best quarterbacks in the country, then what are you going to get excited about? What are you allowed to do with your expectations? I think he's got post-traumatic stress disorder from all the other times he's had expectations.
Look, I've seen this team deal with an injury to their best defensive player and their offensive line decimated early. So I'm really excited to get into conference play and get our best players back. And hopefully we can put in some good performances.
Right. I mean, Dan, it's why I'm not that excited about what the Jets are doing and what Aaron Rodgers did on Thursday night. Like, I've had too many heartbreaks. I've fallen for this before. And so I want to be excited. I want to get excited. I look at their schedule. They have the Broncos coming up this week. I think that's a win. But, you know, I have to tread lightly here because bad things usually happen to my team.
You've got a proud Virginia Tech Hokie team that is well coached coming into town. You know, one thing at a time.
They are proud.
We always fall apart come conference play. We got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
God, I hate this. If you're not going to get excited about a great quarterback, what the hell in sports are you going to get excited about?
I'll give it to you. Okay. All right, fine. I'll drop the bit. Yeah. We are indeed back to work.
I mean, he's no Derek Robertson, but
is Virginia Tech well coached?
Yeah, we have respect for our opponent.
The thing about Miami, right, is like there's gonna be
who
a
is the
hiccup.
coach?
There's always a hiccup, right?
Beats me.
I'm looking at it, Billy. I'm trying to find where
there's always a hiccup. It's just
they're
like
coming into the hardest part of their schedule right here.
it's just recovering from the hiccup has been kind of what happens to the Canes sometimes.
At Cal,
That's why you're
maybe?
the Duke.
At Cal, maybe next week.
That's tough. Look at all these consecutive games, cross country, prime time,
Back-to-back road games.
Yeah.
At Cal, at Louisville. After
Very
Louisville.
difficult. Very
Louisville.
difficult. Those are good programs.
and Florida State. These next four.
I think
Florida State's
Louisville
a
plays
rivalry
Notre
game.
Dame this week, right?
Yep.
Louisville could be favored in that game.
Whoa.
I can't say it.
Whoa.
I'm not going to say it.
Just
Whoa,
pretend
might
there's
be.
peanut butter in your mouth.
We haven't proven
whoa.
anything. We haven't proven anything.
I don't believe that California or Louisville will be now favored against the University of
No, Cal
Miami.
won't be. It'll be interesting to see if Louisville beats Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then that's like a home primetime game. We'll see what the line is. But the lines have been very
Okay.
respectful of the Miami Hurricanes.
If I may, though, okay, because
This stinks for Dan.
I'm willing to do this, even though I understand that they haven't played anybody.
There's a reason why you're saying that. It's because they've been dominated.
For the last 25 years, the University of Miami, trying to live off of past glories, has thought that it is not Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Louisville. It's not any of these teams. Louisville, excuse me. It's not, but it has been. They've been just another team in a historic, nostalgic uniform that used to win championships. They are not that team anymore. They're not Georgia Tech. They're not NC State. They're not North Carolina. Their quarterback is better than all of those quarterbacks.
They're back.
Yeah, to work.
Mm-hmm.
Their quarter is back.
To work.
Yeah. They have a quarterback that
work.
No one can dispute. There's not an answer for how he plays the position. They're going to score a lot of points. They're going to be a team that is different from all of those ACC teams that you're used to seeing, that Louisville does pull away from.
It's a lull.
Lowell does pull away from Georgia Tech late, but there's not a lot of difference between them most of the game.
That's several weeks away.
Yeah.
We got a primetime game.
Right.
We got to pack the rock.
Respected coach.
Our students got to come out there, show out.
Will the rock be packed is the question.
Probably not.
Is the turnover chain traveling now?
No, that was just a fan that handed.
You got to get
something-
that out of here.
And
right.
we've talked to that player.
Did
since,
they
so
melt
don't
that
put
down?
in.
What happened? What happened to that thing? Like, is it just
it's all
non-existent
gone.
anymore?
It's like your grandfather or grandmother's jewelry. It gets put together. A bunch of jewels get put together, and then it's some 15 ale.
Dan Le Batard.
But it's just his titties are sitting on the shelf that is his belly.
Stugotz.
You said titties, and it like shocked me a little bit. I wasn't quite prepared for titties.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
It has been happening, it seems like, more and more around here where we start a show and somebody that is either locally iconic or nationally iconic and means something to this show has passed away. Mercury Morris is gone now at the age of 77. And for those of you in South Florida who remember this far back, you can say with a decent amount of confidence, after Muhammad Ali came through South Florida with a great deal of flamboyance, that Mercury Morris might have been the first South Florida athlete who was black, fluorescent, flamboyant, outspoken, dangerous, eloquent, fun, a poet, and a member of the 72 Dolphins who was very different from all the other members of the 1972 Dolphins, the most vocal of the 72 Dolphins. It was a rare time in sports, Stugotz, to be exhibiting that amount of personality and brashness as a black man in sports in 72, not that far removed from the civil rights movement, like a genuine South Florida fixture and a source of great strength and black pride locally, because it had to be hard to be him, and he was unapologetic about being a genuine star on an undefeated team.
Yeah, he was also a great player, and that was a legendary team. He had 1,000 yards. His only 1,000-yard season was for the 1972 Dolphins. He was outspoken. He was great. He was confident. He took so much joy every time the last team that was undefeated lost every season. No one else has done it. He's part of a team that did it. He's a great guy. And I got to know him a little bit over the years. Mercury was different. He was interesting. And he was very cocky and very confident, but there was a very caring man there as well. Mercury Morris was great.
That team, I saw a clip the other day of Larry Zonka running down the sideline, and he basically just ran over someone on the sideline, and he was telling the story with Don Shula of Don Shula loved the hit. Then, for the first time in the sport's history, they saw a running back called for unnecessary roughness just for running. And then Don Shula flipped out on him for costing them 15 yards because Larry Zonka was just super physical. I know this is a bygone time, and I know that more and more you've come to expect that people in their late 70s and 80s aren't going to be with us anymore, but I just did want to stop for a moment in the celebration of what this sport has been in this town and in making this town matter more than it used to back in 1972, because they had this undefeated thing down there, and it was the first sports thing that they had. There wasn't like highlight or some third world or international thing as opposed to major league professional sports. But when we talk, Stugotz, about the toughness of football, I want to show you a couple of things here because I was laughing this weekend. Stillwater, Oklahoma, it was 100 degrees. It was clear that everyone on Utah and Oklahoma State was broiling on the field because they went to the sideline reporter and she's holding up a thermometer and it feels like 143.
That's a classic.
Yeah,
and then
I
they
love that move.
They go, but there are fumes coming off the field, and we are baking human beings, is what we're doing. And they go to Brock Heward in the comfort of the air-conditioned booth, and he's like, "It's a day for toughness." And I'm like, nobody wants to be out there broiling at 143 degrees.
But he's right.
I mean, okay, so you're going to out-tough. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show.
Was Brock right?
Can you out-tough 143 degrees? I mean, okay, you're asking a crab to out-tough boiling water, but okay. Stugotz thinks that Utah comes in with more toughness because they can handle 143 degrees better.
Have you seen their coach? I mean, Kyle Whittingham might be the toughest coach in America.
Okay.
I mean, seriously.
Okay. And
Am I wrong?
Yes, no, that's why they won.
Yeah.
That's why, because he rides to the stadium on a motorcycle. That's why Utah went into and they beat Mike Gundy, who was wearing pants that were catching fire from the flames on the field because 143 degrees is not a reasonable temperature for anyone to play football. But because football is giving off toughness at all points, here you've got a tattoo that's ridiculous, Stugotz. A person with, I believe, both wonderful and horrible judgment has gotten a tattoo of Dan Campbell on their knee, around their knee, trying to bite their knee because Dan Campbell is a knee biter and is threatened to win in the NFL. He's got a 26-27 career record, by the way. He has threatened to win in the NFL by biting everybody's kneecaps. And so here is a photo of a terrible idea. And I also wanted to show you a picture of, and this is stunning here. This is comedically perfect. Forgiveness to the audio audience, but
we're showing pictures.
When Gronkowski says that the guy who is most likely to break his records as the most dominant polar bear in the history of the game looks like Brock Bowers. You can't dispute that this hairline and the crazy in the eyes that gives off a little bit of the Cajun guy in Waterboy. The crazy in the eyes, you can see how that can be trained to have about 1,400 receiving yards if it gets the right quarterback in the NFL. But that does not look like athletic dominance there. You have to shave the rest of that. Somebody who loves Brock, tell him, just go bald there, Brock. It's okay. You might be insecure about the shape of your head, but it's going to be okay.
That's what Jason Taylor would look like if he'd let it go. Yeah. That's it. This is a message to come on home when it's that bad.
Right. But you think Brock would look that good if he did cut it all off? I mean,
it would look better.
I can't think of worse
hairstyles, really.
I know, but bald? I mean, Brock Bowers?
Are you arguing for the look that he's rocking over?
I need to see it combed. I need to see him showing up to something formal. I mean, it's right after a football game. I need to see the hair at the draft.
You need it combed over, Stugotz?
I just want to see.
Combing it over is going to make a difference.
Listen, before I make a judgment here, I need to see what it looks like when it's combed.
I will be with you on the idea that once you've taken your helmet off, you have that particular patch of hair, that scratchy patch of hair. Sweat after a football game is not going to help the look at all. But that's as bad as it can look if what you're trying to do with your hair is appear athletic. That's the worst you can do. 7 strands of hair that you're hanging on to prematurely old is not the way to look if you want to be considered a world-class athlete. And cross-eyed is also not helping.
I think he's just looking up.
Yeah.
You don't think
I don't think he's actually like that. It's just a weird angle.
Can't control that.
So you don't believe that right eye
is just focused.
You don't believe that right eye is doing something different than the left eye?
Yeah, no, naturally. I've seen him before. He doesn't appear that way to me.
I have a great picture of him here, Dan. Like, you tell me, is this a guy that should shave his head? Look at him.
Show the audience.
I mean,
it's Stugotz. That's the hair combed, but he's clearly losing his hair.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying I need to see the hair combed. That it still looks okay combed. He's not, it's not an emergency where he needs to shave it today. I think he's got about 3 months left.
I think it is an emergency. I think it right now is an emergency that he needs to take care of that right now so that we can respect him more. We're going to underestimate him the rest of his career if he continues to look like this in public.
That's fair.
That dude's amazing.
Yes.
An incredible football player at Georgia.
Yes.
Well, you know who else is amazing? And there are so many athletes, Stugotz, running around on football fields all over the place that make tackling them very difficult. Saquon Barkley yesterday, the Saints had not given up a 10-yard run all season. And basically all Philadelphia had yesterday, because Jalen Hurts has more turnovers than anybody in the sport since the beginning of last year. Mm-hmm. All they had was hand the ball to Saquon Barkley and see if he can go 65 yards.
Yep.
And
he did it.
And he did, yes. And he did do it, and they barely end up beating the Saints and compensating for the fact that that Sirianni is trying 61-yard field goals late. Sirianni is doing everything he can.
He's passing up chip shots, and then that's the time he decides to try to kick a field goal.
He is doing everything he can to try and screw up that job, but Saquon Barkley would not let him yesterday. because I believe that we believe that the Saints aren't as good as they looked the first 2 weeks of the season, and that the Eagles are better than they've looked the first 2 weeks of the season. But I don't trust anymore in the sport right now, Stugotz, the way that it's being played. More obsessive-compulsive than ever about you can't be Will Levis. Like,
right.
Will Levis, you're going to lose your job in 3 games if you keep making bad decisions. Jalen Hurts having more turnovers than anyone in the sport since the beginning of last season, Stugotz,
Crazy.
is a problem that will undermine you in a sport where all the games are this close and your offensive line isn't as healthy as it's been the last few seasons, and you got to go on the road and win a game scoring 14 points because you're constipated offensively, your coach takes too many chances, and you're turning the ball over more recklessly than anyone in the sport.
It sounds crazy. It shifted very quickly, but a guy like Alex Smith is the kind of quarterback you want now. He is. He's a guy that never turned the ball over. Dan is right about this. Like,
I don't want Alex Smith. I still prefer.
It's a larger point of you prefer your quarterback. Like, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been great. You know what he's not doing? Turning the ball over.
Alex Smith said yesterday during the broadcast, he's like, do you know how hard this position is to play? Peyton Manning spoiled it for everybody. All these young quarterbacks can't be playing. They're not ready to play. No matter how good you think they are, none of them are actually baked enough to be out there. It's Peyton Manning screwed it up for everyone, and C.J. Stroud made it a little bit worse, but you cannot expect these people to play that position well and not look like Caleb Williams yesterday, or, for that matter, Anthony Richardson, because they haven't had enough snaps.
What you're saying about Peyton is there are very few guys, if any, that you could put in, have them start the entire rookie season, have an awful season, and still have the mental ability to shrug it off and turn out to be one of the all-time greats. That is very difficult. Bryce Young, I don't think, is going to have the ability to do that. I'm not certain if anyone other than Peyton has the ability to do what he did, because he was awful in his first year and still turned out to be one of the all-time great quarterbacks.
Awful is overstating it, but he threw a lot of interceptions.
I think the most interceptions a rookie has ever thrown.
Yeah, and prior to that, no one had thrown more passing touchdowns either. He had the rookie passing record for a long time.
But the Eagles are so interesting from this standpoint. You're right about Hurts and the turnovers, that Sirianni is not helping them out. But, Dan, they beat Green Bay with Jordan Love on a neutral field. They should have beaten Atlanta if Barkley made that catch. And they beat the Saints, who were the hottest team in the NFL, and they beat them on the road. Like, the Eagles could easily be 3-0, despite Nick Sirianni and despite the turnover.
I feel like we can do that with about 25 teams in the
we
league.
could, yes.
I mean,
Dolphins could be 0-3 if they don't get a fumble.
It's true.
You want a stat?
So could the Chiefs.
Courtesy of ESPN Stats and Info. The Dolphins are the only team in the NFL to not hold a lead for a single second this entire season. Their lone lead was on the game-winning field goal.
Right. But you have your eye on him, huh?
I mean, sacrificial lamb time.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And the person who were making the sacrificial lamb is the person who gave them their only lead of the season.
Are you guys like everyone else in our audience that when the red zone goes down for technical difficulties for 9 seconds yesterday, you break out in hives and start screaming and kicking the television because your addiction is so strong that you're not a reasonable person around your television on Sundays? Did everyone collapse when the red zone went down for 9 seconds on Sunday?
I used to be, but the sport isn't my top priority anymore.
Yeah. Business trip.
My top priority is playing well within the conference and just, not beating ourselves.
Right.
Survivor pools everywhere are ruined, correct?
Well, week 1 with the Bengals.
No, all of it, though. They're all ruined, right? All of them are ruined.
Yeah, I'm in an 80-person one and basically can wrap up tonight.
Really?
Yeah. There's only like 3 people left over, and they all have the Bengals. So, we'll see. But it's been a tough year for people to pick straight up against the money line.
A lot of people had the Bucks yesterday. Yeah, I know I did.
I'm on the Bengals tonight.
Can I want to go back to this for a second because I saw how sweaty and complaining Stugotz was when we went out to Dolphin Camp and he had to walk from the parking lot 20 yards to the air conditioning of camp.
Yeah. Oof.
You again think that toughness is a reason that a boiling field of 143 degrees is something that football players must summon to be tougher than the next guy who's better at boiling in 143 degree temperatures than you are. I just want to be clear.
Who said it again? Brock Heward?
It was Brock Heward.
I'm just supporting my guy.
It was Brock Heward in the press box, in the air conditioning of the press box, talking about toughness. I just want to be clear that you think that some players are better at broiling than you are.
The Steelers.
All right. At Le Batard Show, Juju, are the Steelers better on a broiling field than their opponents?
They don't care what field they play on. They just win. They don't win by a lot, but they win.
I just think 143 degrees, I don't know. Like that, those are literally sauna-like temperatures.
Seems like a game we should have canceled.
It feels to me like it feels that the sport is already unhealthy. But let's put this on turf. And basically what we're asking you to play on in Boiled Water, Oklahoma is a skillet. Let's play football on a scalding skillet and see. It must be so unpleasant to land on that field and have your arms just go across the turf and leave whatever burn mark is there for the field to broil.
Right.
Because you're cooking meat on the field is what you're doing. You're not playing football at 143 degrees.
But Brock Heward says you have to tough it out, and he played. He knows.
I don't know how you measure these things, but one of the teams has to be better than the other at that.
Yes.
But how do you practice for it?
Well,
Live
down
in
here
Miami.
it's easier.
Yeah,
it's more difficult
right.
than Utah.
Well, no, but I thought this was in Stillwater, and I was told that Gundy's team had the advantage because they always practice on a skillet.
Oh.
And then they lost to Utah because Stugotz says their coach comes in on a motorcycle.
He's not the only one that says that. But, yeah, I guess that means Utah's tougher.
Yeah.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
We found it out.
They are.
In Ace Ventura 2, he has to, for some reason, go over hot coals. Maybe we make players go over hot coals.
That's how we practice that?
Train their feet for
I
warm
think so.
temperatures.
Mark Mangino got fired for that.
He did.
He did.
Hazing, I believe.
He was leaving all sorts of calluses on the field.
They would do crab walks on those artificial turfs that were 135 degrees.
Well, we tried that. We can't do it. All right.
Yes, they were, again, cooler than the ones they were playing on Saturday in Boiled Water, Oklahoma.
And by the way, Mark Mangino won an Orange Bowl.
He did.
With Kansas.
Yep.
Again, the players had to do those wheelbarrows, 100 yards on their hands, and then they'd finish and there'd be blisters all over their hands because, again, we're cooking meat, human meat on the field.
You win an Orange Bowl at Kansas, it's like winning a national championship.
That's why he's our Twitter avatar for all of these years.
He had to keep Talib on that team.
Huh.
Because he won an Orange Bowl at Kansas, which swallowed champion Les Miles. And I've told you that Kansas, for about a 10-year period, I don't know how they got in the NIL game, but all of a sudden Kansas has a team that is not an embarrassment when it was the worst team in college football for a really long time.
Forever.
And I want to try to break you of something that you've been going to. Like, anytime any team is good, they're getting into the NIL game. Everyone has name, image, and likeness. You said that Mac Brown struggled with the NIL game. No, they haven't. Hey, I know they paid Drake May a lot of money. They pay their running back a lot of money. It's leveling the playing field, and it's just like back to work, back to how you evaluate teams. Yes, some teams have more resources than other, but when you get to that top line, there's very little difference. You still have to recruit the kid. You still have to develop the talent, and you still will have to deal with swinging and missing.
Mike, but this is what I'm doing, okay, just so that you understand when I'm making it winning and losing at the NIL game. Michigan won this weekend with 32 passing yards. 32 passing yards. They beat USC, Lincoln Riley. I was told that Lincoln Riley was going to be instant by a quarterback, by a coach, and USC is going to go right to the front of the line in playoff football. It is not enough to be a great coach anymore. It is also not enough to be a great recruiter. You had better know, because your team is better at business in a more organized way in a totally changing landscape, you better be a CEO who can keep up with how fast things are changing in Miami in 3 years when everyone's telling you, hey, this guy's better at getting the players than other people are. where North Carolina for 3 years was dragging Mario Cristobal, or 2 years, up and down the field because it looked like Mac Brown was better at that game. He's not better at that game. You can't be down 30 at the half to James Madison and have everyone trying to run you out of town when you're near 80 years old. Like Nick Saban was saying, I don't have the heart for this anymore. Nick Saban was saying, I'm too old for this shit.
Yes, it is a CEO. And it's so don't just make the CEO a CFO and just worried about the finances, because a CEO is across the board. It is more a business position than it's ever had. And that's not just because business has formally made it there, because guys were buying their way into the game when Nick Saban was sitting atop it. That's always been around. But it's all the other things. It's being able to be on your phone at 3:30 a.m. It's over a long period of time. So I think it's just I'm not a fan of when people just say, like, Miami bought their way back into the game. Like, okay, but Miami was spending plenty last year.
Everyone's trying to buy their way
Mac
into
Brown
the game. Yes,
beat Mario Cristobal's team pretty good last year. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's more than just NIL.
When they talked about Cristobal, though, and the $15 million payroll, the idea of all of that being that overt, to me, there is a learning curve there on how it is that these guys that you're asking to make you tougher and tougher and tougher, the culture of sports now also have to be good, or have a team around them, really, because they don't have to be good at it, at all the problems that come when a guy can transfer immediately if he's not getting playing time, and you have to pay him 3 years, $1 million, because you're playing the game a little bit differently than it's had to be played before. I'm telling you, as somebody, the reason that I bring it up so often, Mike, is because the amount of failing that I have personally done in 3.5 years, not understanding what has to be known in business, has been very frustrating to me, and has felt in many turns, oh, this is how it all changes on people. This is how people get to 50 years old and think they know everything that needs to be known, and now the space totally changes and you've got to figure it out. I've lived it. And so I could see where it is these people would be confused by a million things, because Mac Brown has done it his way for a really long time and had success in Texas doing it that way, and had success getting to North Carolina, and now he's down 30 and a half at the half at home against James Madison.
But Mike is saying he also did it the new way. Now, it's not working out this year for him, but it has in years past with May and other players. So, but Dan, it is something new, and there is a learning curve. And so perhaps because the entire sport has shifted, and perhaps because it is now a business and it's overt and it's out there, yeah, you might have a longer leash for some of these coaches because they are learning something new.
There's not a longer leash, though. There's less of a leash now because...
Yeah, but no, see, Mario Cristobal is sitting here like, listen, if they didn't have a good year, we'd probably talk about,
Stugotz, Florida State has a $64 million buyout on Norvell, and Napier's in trouble with a $20 million buyout. This stuff happens faster than it used to happen.
But they're learning new roles and new responsibilities within what it is that they do, because their job has changed. It is no longer just be a coach. It's be a businessman.
It's not just that, though. Now everyone knows that money's involved, and when you make it business this overtly, it stops being about you have 2 and 3 extra years to do this. Like, man, this happened fast to Jimbo Fisher, where he goes from having the best college quarterback as a freshman you've seen, and everyone's saying, well, Jimbo's going to be right there with Nick Saban. Since then, Nick Saban's out of the sport entirely and put his name on. This shit's too crazy for me. Like, I'm not doing this anymore at 80 years old. Like, I cannot stay up here doing it this way if you're going to give the kids this much power. If you're going to leave me this helpless because you're going to make it about money this overtly.
Painting Nick Saban as helpless is certainly one way to do it. By the way,
Alabama's doing fine.
Jimbo's a victim with a $75 million vacation buyout.
Do you think Nick Saban's getting paid by the NCAA to lobby on their behalf? I'm asking because he's done a lot of speaking engagements touting this cause. Do you think he's a paid lobbyist?
I don't know if...
Because it's weird how often he's doing it. And if he's a paid lobbyist, do you think he should reveal that whenever he uses these platforms?
If he's... when you asked the question, the reason that I said I don't know is I'd like to know that. I would like to know if he is a paid lobbyist. If it's that. He has been somebody who has named himself, as far as I can tell, ambassador for the morality of what is right with this changing business. I would really like to know if he's being paid for that. I would like a transparency clause. You think the NCAA has a slush fund, a bucket of money to pay for lobbying of that sort?
Yeah, they've spent $250 million on it.
Yeah.
I need some help from Billy and Roy here on how much shame Chris Cody does or does not deserve. He is a lifelong Miami, South Floridian, descended from South Floridians. And when he told me earlier that Tony was going to be joining us for his top 5 from the Rickenbacker Causeway, he finished it with whatever and wherever that is. He has no idea where the Rickenbacker Causeway is. How is that possible?
You've never been to the Miami Seaquarium, huh?
No, I have. Like I told Roy when Roy kind of mocked me for it, I'm sure I've been it, seen it, done it. Just don't know what it's called. And
right.
I'm a Broward guy. If it was $5.95, I'd know exactly where it was.
But when I say Rickenbacker Causeway,
oh my God!
Oh, no.
No, go on.
Rickenbacker, whatever it's
Let
called.
him finish.
You know what I'm talking about,
on, guys.
right? Like you've heard of it,
Come on,
right?
let him finish.
Rickenbacker
Whatever it's
Causeway.
called,
Well,
you know?
but I mean, you're not.
He knows what it is.
But you know, the
He's gonna
Rick.
shame Chris for not knowing.
As I'm talking this out, I think we need a little more range on this. Maybe we send Tony to $5.95 next week. What do you think? No? Okay.
Rickenbacker, Stugotz.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you don't know is what happened there. You're supporting Chris Cody or you're supporting us against Chris Cody, and you don't know the name of what you're talking about.
Rickenbacker. It doesn't matter. It's called the Rick. It's a causeway. It's okay.
Nobody's
Like
ever called it that.
you've heard of the causeway, but you're not certain quite where it is. I
Do
get
you know,
it. I understand
do you know where
that.
it is?
You don't know when you're on it.
Can you give us any more information? He's going to join us from the Rickenbacker Causeway, but do you have any idea what it leads to? Roy gave you Miami Seaquarium. Is that a helpful hint on where and how it is, where it takes you?
Now, it's leading us to a bad segment.
I've been to the Miami Seaquarium, so I guess I've been on it. But I've never been on a road, and I'm like, I'm on the Rickenbacker right now. That's what I'm doing right now.
Well, you know it because it's one of the most beautiful things that we have in South Florida visually.
You say so.
Like, no.
I mean, yeah, you take it to Crandon Park. It's where the Miami Open used to be before they moved it out to Hard Rock Stadium.
Key Biscayne, huh?
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow.
It is the way you get to Key Biscayne.
Nice little run.
Time now
Dangerous,
for Stugotz's weekend observations. It is dangerous. I saw that this was actually a conversation I was having with Valerie over the weekend. Somebody just drove off I-95, and she said it's a great fear that she has. And she asked me, have you ever had it? I'm like, I've been driving this since I was 16 years old. It's not a thought I've ever had that you could just drive off of I-95. That's not something that you can do. I didn't think, but somebody did it this weekend. And Rickenbacker Causeway would be even more dangerous to drive to your death. Let's start the weekend observation, shall we?
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery.
Can I make a bet on where you're going to start?
I mean,
let me just tell. I'm gonna write it down.
Lock of the year.
I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write it down, and then I will have it revealed at the end of this.
Impossible to get wrong.
Okay.
I want to improvise, but I'm not going to do it because he deserves it.
Okay, let's see what
All
we
right.
got.
Dan, how there are 32 better quarterbacks than him remains one of the biggest mysteries in all of sports. The leadership, the professionalism, the fire. And I'm not just talking about his red hair. After going 26 of 37 for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and leading his team to a 36-22 victory on the road. Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it. For a record 42nd time here on Weekend Observations, the Red Rifle is back.
Yes, I thought of you yesterday when he was slinging it.
Oh,
couldn't help but get excited for you being able to say that the Red Rifle is back.
For a 42nd time. Amazing.
Take a look at his passing yardage and his career numbers. You'll be shocked at how much the Red Rifle has accomplished.
He's a Hall of Famer.
No,
he has more passing yards than Boomer Esiason, than Tony Romo, than Jim Kelly, than Steve Young, than Troy Aikman, than Cam Newton, than Y.A. Tittle.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
And Sonny Jurgensen. Those guys are Hall of Famers.
And Red Rifle is not.
Tim Boyle is a Dolphin. How? Andy Dalton.
I'm still learning of some of that on weekends. I don't know if Cordero Patterson happened to any of you this weekend, seeing him in
He's
Pittsburgh.
still playing?
In Pittsburgh. Yes. I saw it in Pittsburgh.
Winner.
I was surprised. Yes, I was surprised.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen to somebody in week 3. It shouldn't be happening to me in week 3.
Andy Dalton should change his name to Red Rifle. You agree?
Legally change his name?
Why not?
Just Red is his
You think
first
anyone
name.
calls him Andy?
Red is his first name. I don't think anyone actually calls him Red Rifle.
Get out of here. Everyone does.
I don't believe in the locker room. They may call him
Joke's on you.
I believe they may call him Red. I don't believe anyone in the locker room is referring to him. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is anyone in the locker room referring to Andy Dalton as Red Rifle?
Bryce Young, got to be honest, yesterday, not a good look. A hook and ladder is the best play in football. If the season ended today, Sam Darnold would win MVP. Actually, co-MVP with Andy Dalton. Brock Purdy, blah, blah, blah. Kyle Shanahan, blah, blah, blah. 1 and 2, please. Malik Willis, revenge game. Brandon Aubrey is a machine. He made a 65-yard field goal look routine. Kicking a 50-yard field goal used to mean something. It did. Top 5 things in sports that used to mean something.
Oh, wow.
Number 5, laying down a bunt. Number 4.
This was the conversation, incidentally, at every table at Greg Cody's party.
Things that used to mean something?
Yes, a party for old people made by young people who are also old in spirit.
Yeah.
This conversation was happening everywhere on Saturday.
Sorry, I missed it. Number 4, a mid-range jumper. Number 3, the low post.
Podcast?
Number 2, a 50-yard field goal. Number 1, baseball. Jason Garrett, lay off the hair dye.
Really?
I mean, yeah. It's a lot.
I tend to turn the channel whenever he is talking because I don't. It's just
Because nothing interesting is coming out?
Because he's a television mannequin.
Steve Spagnuolo did what Steve Spagnuolo does. Spags. He dialed up some blitzes last night, Dan.
He did,
I
yes.
mean, it's amazing. You can't be the University of South Florida and play in Tampa. Can't.
It isn't the South. It is weird.
Can't do it.
It's west. It's northwest. It's not. Is Tampa even geographically like on the southern half of the state?
It's just west to me. Like, to me, it should just be West Florida.
When I go to Tampa, I'm driving north, right?
Yeah, a little bit north.
Yeah, a bit north.
Very north. You're going.
So I live in South Florida. I'm driving north to get to the
Not-
University of South Florida.
You're not a bit north. You're very north, but you're barely in South Florida.
Right. So you agree. Good.
I think I agree, though. I don't know if Tampa, Roy, geographically, do you believe that Tampa is, if we cut the state in half, would geographically Tampa be in the southern half of the state? They would have to be, would they not? For it to be the University of South Florida, it would have to be.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely midway in Florida.
Well, the other part is that if you go to the most northern parts of Florida, only bears live there. Human beings do not live
in that gate.
It's unpopulated. The entire
Chris Felica. Huh?
It's south of Orlando.
Yeah, but UCF was taken, right? So I guess, but you can't go South Florida. You just can't. You got to come up with something different.
I'm with you.
There's already a Florida Gulf Coast as well, so you can't go that way.
Right. The Steelers are 3-0, and I have no idea if they are good. I don't know.
No, you know they're not, actually. You know they're not.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
But
they're
3-0. Best
I mean,
defensive player in the league.
They've got a very good defense. They've got a good half a team.
and a coach.
And that's why they're 3-0.
Yeah, well, maybe. But upside there. I mean, Fields starting to gain some confidence.
That has first-round playoff exit written all over it at 9-8.
But playoff appearance.
That's all that matters for him. Right.
But this is the thing, though. Being the 12th best playoff team, I'm still not sure you're good. You're just healthier than everybody at the
But
end.
I think what Billy
are you
is saying
about
is
the Steelers, or are you saying that about Tomlin?
Right.
You're not sure Tomlin's good? Because
Right.
careful.
Yes.
I am sure
Dangerous
that
game,
I
Dan.
am sure that Tomlin's good
Well,
because
but how can we be? If you're not sure if the team is good for being 9-8, but you're sure that Tomlin's good for being 9-8 every year, how is that a thing?
I will explain that. It's no problem at all to explain that. Mike Tomlin will be a Hall of Famer because he consistently goes 9-8 with teams I know aren't any good.
Right. And has a Super Bowl.
And that.
Well, that helps.
Well, he had a quarterback back then.
No, but it helps all the other 9-8s.
He never has a losing season. He's coached for 15 straight years in Pittsburgh. He hasn't had one losing season. Most of the teams he's had aren't good.
Yeah.
That's how I know he's good and the teams aren't good. That's how I know it.
That's the way he likes it.
It is the way he likes it.
What Andy Dalton lacks in physical tools, he more than makes up for with guts and guile.
I thought you were going to go in rifle. What he doesn't have in tools, he has in rifle.
Clemson, welcome back. Going into the witching hour, winning every bet, only to then lose every bet, a tradition unlike any other. When Andy Dalton takes his rightful place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
That's good.
I will be there. I'll be there.
What?
Well, he will never
In spirit.
have to be there. Well, he'll never have to be there because Andy Dalton will never be there in spirit or in human in any
He
of the
should
ways.
be there.
As a
Did
visitor,
you hear those names? Sonny Jurgensen.
Andy Dalton will have to pay full admission. He won't even get a discount to get into the Hall of Fame.
attend?
That's correct.
It's not right, man.
It is 100% accurate what I'm saying.
Dan, I have to whisper this because I don't want the football gods to hear me. I think I have a quarterback. I'm not sure,
Be careful.
but I think I do.
You have somebody who won't turn the ball over.
I have a quarterback. I think.
You have someone who knows how to avert disasters, is what you have.
In today's game, that's a quarterback.
You know what? I'll give you that.
Thank you. USC, losing a game in which you gave up 32 yards passing. Welcome to the Big Ten.
Michigan and Iowa, both combined, had less than 100 yards passing. Both of them. You just said Michigan had 32 yards. Both of them won.
Right. Well,
Get that football out of my life forever.
it's Big Ten football. If you agree to a Saturday night in Provo, Utah, and don't come out alive, you have no one but yourself to blame.
Video, put on the screen, please, in picture the single best play of the college football season, that BYU punt return against Kansas State. Just put it.
That's Provo.
That looked
Yeah.
like something out of a video game. The tacklers at the end, Stugotz, that were diving at that guy's knees and just landing like javelins in the grass at his feet. This is the craziest play of the season. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. That's Provo, though. I mean,
It is Provo.
things happen there
Gotta
on
be
Saturday
careful.
nights.
That's right.
Not Saturday at 3:30, not on a Thursday night, just on Saturday nights. Provo, Utah. Tough place to play. James Franklin, feel free to play somebody. Shohei Ohtani, living proof that you should always bet on yourself. Dan, the Metropolitans.
This is a legitimate stunning thing to me. Their broadcasters sounded like they were broadcasting from a funeral at the beginning of the season, and the
they were.
Mets turned all of that around.
They did. The Metropolitans. It's exciting. Alabama, Georgia. The more things change, the more they stay the same. UNC, the rare 50 burger with a side of double-digit loss. James Madison was paid $25,000 for every point they beat UNC by. The ACC network turned the game off with 10 minutes to go. Kyle Whittingham, most underrated coach in America. Lincoln Riley, most overrated coach in America. Top 5 athletes who can own a place I might move to depending on how the election goes.
Wow. Okay, this escalated.
Well, I'm not saying which way. I'm just saying depending on how it goes.
You are saying.
I am not saying anything.
That's you are.
I'm just saying there are places that athletes can own.
Billy, why are you making a face?
It's not moving anywhere.
I'm not. OLI, Paris Campbell. Robert Brazil. Sarah Spain, Javon Holland, London Drake, Jim Rome, Chris Kamen, Brock Berlin, Wellington Mara, New Zealand.
Oh.
Jimmy the Greek. Number 5, Ron Mexico.
Wait a minute.
What?
Ron Mexico is not a real name.
My list. Number 4,
Ron Mexico.
Mark Portugal.
Who is Ron Mexico? That is such an old joke. You want to tell people who Ron Mexico is? Do you remember who Ron Mexico is?
It was Michael Vick's alias, was it not?
But why did he need the
Because
alias?
he carried a Wizinator, I think. Well, that was the difference. That was Ontario Smith. I forget. I forget why. Ontario Smith. I remembered that, though. You like that?
Not really, because you don't remember why it is that Michael Vick was named Ron Mexico. I believe there were reports of an STD involved around the alias.
You believe, though.
I
You don't know
believe.
either,
I'm
right?
pretty sure. Well, I know it's not the Wizinator with Ontario Smith.
Wasn't it?
That was a separate story. You're right. Number 3, Matt Canada. Number 2, Sidney Ponson. Number 1, Mario Chalmers. Rio. If you look up win-win in the dictionary, you'll find that its definition is James Madison being paid $500,000 to win a game by 20 at North Carolina. Stunning.
They were up 53 at the half. They're up 53-20. How does that happen?
I don't know. They got paid to do it. Win-win. Northern Illinois, do it against Buffalo. Death, taxes, and Will Levis making that one throw that just rips your heart out. Every week. Dan, you know what Malik Neighbors is doing?
Arriving?
He is saving Daniel Jones's career.
Oh, wow.
Like a good neighbor. State Farm, you're welcome.
He's great.
Dan, you know where the buck stops? At Bo Nix.
What are you making faces about, Billy?
That State Farm, I don't even understand it. Just
Like a good neighbor. He's helping his neighbor.
I know, but the rest of it. Like,
listen, it's
State
not
Farm,
it's-
you're welcome.
I plant seeds of an idea. It's for State Farm and their marketing team to figure it out. Like a good neighbor.
If somebody from State Farm happens to be listening to us right now, they're putting in an email, hey, guys, I got an idea. And they're stealing it, and someone at State Farm is being like, let's see, if he has a couple more good weeks, I like where you're thinking.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your support on that. Needed it. NFL coaches, listen in and listen good. Math lesson for you. 3 points is greater than no points. Nick Sirianni is really performing some kind of high wire act. It's crazy. I mean, Belichick is sniffing around there, and the guy doesn't care.
Well, the one that's got to be happening today is Belichick in Dallas, right?
Oh yeah, already happened. When the Steelers are punting, Mike Tomlin has you right where he wants you. Bo Nix, little something.
Put it on the poll, Juju at Le Batard Show. When the Steelers are punting, does Mike Tomlin have you right where he wants you?
So stupid. In honor of Mercury Morris, the Mercury Morris top 5 people in sports and entertainment that connote the solar system. OLI, Stephon Marbury. Raider fans. The Black Hole. Max Kepler. Kepler's laws of planetary motion, duh.
I'm stuck on your first one. I got to be honest.
Starberry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Roger Clemens. The Rocket. Number 5, Venus Williams. Number 4, Warren Moon. Number 3, Charles Haley. Number 2, Bruno Mars. And number 1, Mel Kiper. The Kuiper Belt.
Of course.
Know your space. Tomlin. Harbaugh. Playing chess. Goosebumps. Some game. Aaron Judge has 55 home runs. Anyone care? Boston College, feisty. Bill O'Brien would rather his team be feisty than good.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Would Bill O'Brien prefer his team to be feisty than good?
Ran out of music?
Go ahead. Keep it going. We're gonna.
All right.
It'll be back in a second.
Army, longest active win streak in college football. Committee, I dare you to leave them out of the playoff.
Chris, I would just suggest, given how often this happens, that we just make that a little longer so it doesn't keep happening.
That would help.
Good idea, Dan.
That would be a way to handle that.
Bill Belichick, Dallas Cowboys, collision course, the Big D, more like the Big B, CJ Stroud, bust, Baltimore, congratulations on saving your season. The Saints have the car going in the wrong direction. Carolina has the same record as the 49ers. Arthur Blank, putting yourself in the Falcons' Ring of Honor. Arthur, the Stugotz is strong in you. Micah Parsons, I really like you. But how about you shut the hell up and make some plays in a big game? Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Billy, why are you wincing and cringing the last 60 seconds of that?
Well, because in Chris's defense, it's a 17-minute bet. Weekend observation should not go longer than 17 minutes.
It's football season,
It was
man.
already extended to a ridiculous length.
Yeah.
It should be tighter than 17 minutes.
That's fair criticism. You're right. Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how that one is going to go every time. He doesn't get better. He continues to get sloppier.
Segments were 12 minutes long. We're like,
Hey,
you know
hey,
what? Let's
hey,
make one
hey,
that's
hey,
5 minutes
hey,
longer than
listen.
the length of a segment just to be safe.
It was a big football weekend. What do you want from me? I mean, a lot of things happen. Upsets everywhere. No one's scoring points. I mean, the Canes are back.
Upsets everywhere. No one is scaring. No one is
scoring.
points.
I mean, no one is. I mean, it was a big weekend, though.
Okay, was it? All right.
We're getting back to our roots, Dan. I mean, football, defensive battles, running the football. I mean, the only thing that's different is no one seems to want to try a field goal. I mean,
and the quarterbacks are all stinky, all of them.
Yeah, even the good ones.
Even the best ones.
Yes.
Everyone now stinks at offense. All right.
Yep.
Tony is at what we like to call the Rickenbacker Causeway.
The Rick.
And we're going to go out there now to see what it is that Tony has in terms of an assembled top five. It is beautiful out there. Look at him. This looks like a fake background. It's so beautiful out there that it looks like he's not actually standing in front of beautiful bay and water. Tony, are you ready to give us your football top five on what Stugotz says is a big weekend, but was just a weekend where nobody was scoring? And I'm so tired of unders in this sport. Yeah. I am so very tired of all the games looking like the Seahawks-Dolphins game, and we're 3 weeks in. Where are you, Tony, on your top five? How you feeling about it?
Dano, I'm feeling great out here at the Rickenbacker Causeway. Probably the best site in all of Miami right here. We're about probably to get kicked out from the Rickenbacker because there's construction, so we're going to make it quick. But since we didn't do a top five last week, we're going to have a top 10, but we're going to go fast this week, okay?
All right,
ready?
but stop calling me Dano, and you do look like you're in front of a green screen. That looks fake. It doesn't. I don't believe that you're actually
touch the ocean.
Prove it, Tony. Jump in.
It doesn't seem real. Okay, you're not in front of a green screen.
That looks more real now. Okay.
All right. Yes.
This shot's better than where.
All right. Go ahead, Tony.
Go back.
All right, number 10. So Arthur Blank put himself into his own Ring of Honor. Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, well, we already did that
Steve
with
Martin.
Stugotz's weekend observations.
That's all right. He's out at the Rick. He can't hear me.
It's totally different when you do it from the Rickenbacker Causeway.
Right, yeah.
Number 9.
I may have been slightly wrong about Anthony Richardson. He kind of stinks.
One throw.
Both of us.
Both of you. One throw. And the guy throws a 70-yard pass off his back foot, and you guys are like, Canton. Number 8.
Number 8, Justin Fields eye emoji.
No,
You're just throwing a bunch of these out there just so you can be right. Is it too early on Will Levis?
He looks good.
No, come on.
He does look good.
No,
yeah.
I already ended Will Levis. I ended Will Levis last week. It's over.
Number 7.
Number 7, just like everyone had it through 3 weeks, Minnesota's the best team in football, and Sam Darnold is your MVP.
That was also in weekend observations. Maybe we should have separated
Is that
these
the Rick
a little
there?
bit. Number 6. What does that mean? Number 6.
Mahomes is playing sloppy. Kelsey is cooked. And they're starting a fullback who has a pet gator at running back. And yet, they're 3-0. Ah, the power of the zebras, Dan. I mean, that pass interference call was blatant. And then the one before that in the other game was terrible. And then, obviously, what happened with the Ravens, too. Chiefs are 3-0, but so are the zebras. Number 5.
Zebras, I like that.
Somebody has to do something about the injuries. I don't know what's happening here. There's way too many injuries in football.
You have to stop playing the sport. I mean,
that is the way to do it. Just stop playing on weekends.
What happened?
What do you mean what happened? Football
This has
happened.
always
What do you
happened.
mean? What do you mean? It's too hard on the human body, and they're broiling them in boiled water.
What happened?
What do you mean? It's too hard.
Usually this happens like week 14, 15, 16, but week 3 everybody's out. Did you see? It was a who is playing versus the Rams and the 49ers. I didn't know who was playing on half the team. Number 4. Shout out to Ethan. How do the Packers do it?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
I mean, pass rush.
Doesn't matter the QB. Sure, okay. Pass rush, good defense, sure. Good running game, I guess. Great coach. Yeah, okay.
But to Billy's earlier
Number
point, they're
3.
prepared when their starting quarterback goes down. They have a backup. They do.
Well, to your point, Malik Willis looked like he grew more in 2 games in Green Bay than he did in 2 years.
They had
in
a plan.
Tennessee.
They brought Malik Willis in like 3 days ago. They had a plan.
Well,
It's a plan.
I mean, it's a plan. It
Titans
worked.
cut him like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, 2-0 with them.
Number 3, guys, I'm sorry. Miami Dolphins fans, welcome to another decade of irrelevance.
Oh, in your face right there, Chris. In your face, Billy. He said another decade of irrelevance.
My face. He's a Patriots fan. Like, have fun with Drake
That's
May.
not true. I'm a man of the Shield. Stop that.
He's a Jags fan.
He's a football.
How's that one going for him, too? You picked the worst teams to follow.
We're still waiting on that one. It's about the love of the game, Billy. You wouldn't understand. Number 2, Canales had the wherewithal to make sure his offense actually worked and prove to everyone that Bryce Young was the problem all along.
Yep.
Did you see him fired up walking into the locker room, Dan?
He's got the
Bryce
wherewithal.
Young must have felt even smaller than he was. He must have felt 2 inches tall. Like, damn, I cannot believe Andy Dalton is the first passer to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the NFL season, and they benched my ass. My bad. It was a timeout, not a bench.
What
It
was the
a
bit
timeout.
you
My
just?
bad.
What was the bit you just
He
did? Did
became
you get
small.
short?
He became
Our-
small.
Our
That was
video
it.
team has to
Bryce
be on the
Young
same.
getting smaller. Yeah.
Doing
He
Danny, we have
squats.
to
down with
pan
you.
down when he
Right,
does that.
yeah, not out of the picture.
He's doing
Well,
squats.
no, but I'm disappearing though. Yeah, but I disappear though. That's how
Right.
Bryce Young
To
was.
2
He was
inches.
like,
that was
Wishful
planned.
thinking.
He was like, hold on.
Okay.
He was like, okay, hold on. Let me. All right. Anyways,
So that was the plan.
number
That was the
1.
plan, yeah.
That was the plan. Yeah, that
Got
was,
it.
Danny was on his phone. That's
Good
why
one.
he didn't get me. Yeah. Number 1.
Your cameraman.
Danny.
Jones is
Yeah.
worried about the wrong.
Just to be clear, your cameraman was on his phone, and so he wasn't following you, even though that was the plan. Just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Anything goes with the Rick, Darren.
Yes.
Number 1. Sorry to interrupt you.
Number one, Dan. Jerry Jones is worried about the wrong 8.5. The 8.5 he should be worried about is the Cowboys over-unders and wins this season. That's Tony's top 5 from the Rickenbacker Causeway, the real one.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable there with Jerry Jones sort of talking about the.
He just mimicked jumping in the water. We got excited like he was going to do it.
But he
We
didn't
just
do
stopped,
it then.
yeah.
Yes, once you don't do it, it's and then just sit on the curb and your cameraman is bad. None of it
Well, he's
works.
on his
Danny's
phone.
on
on
his
his
phone
phone
again,
in
yeah.
his defense.
All right,
yes.
Tony Tunite is next.
We're in the women's bathroom of Stevens Deli by Kush, and there's one reason. There's only one person that can join all 3 of us together in this very cramped bathroom, as you can see. It's this man right here, Walter Mercado.
Ding, 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 ding.
for those of you uninitiated in the Latin culture of astrology, he is a Hispanic astrologer.
Yes.
To not only the stars, but to our abuelas and everybody.
Not like when you say the stars, you mean like celebrities.
Yeah, like celebrities,
Okay,
but also the stars. Like
because he knew the stars.
He was getting the stars and
the
connecting to the stars.
And the celebrities.
It was one of these moves.
He was like in tune with the stars, man. Like
Okay.
he had to. He was like interstellar. He was a showman, and he was a legendary.
He's a showman first, right?
Yes. No, he would disagree.
astrology
He would
chart
have.
reader?
He would have disagreed. Yes, first.
What do you call that?
An
Astrologer.
An
Astrologer?
Yeah.
Is that
Not an astrologist, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so what does this man mean to you? Because for me, I remember watching him as a little kid, and then what I thought was this lady came out reading the signs, and I was like, who's this old lady? What is she doing? Then I realized his name was Walter Mercado, and he was just a showman. He liked satin and linen, and he was just
And
out
silks.
there. I thought he was a
moons and
magician.
stars.
Moons and stars.
And metals too, like silvers and gold.
crystals and stuff.
And capes.
Okay, so we need to talk about this. Billy has a lot of stories about Walter Mercado.
I almost went to his estate sale and bought one of his capes.
Really?
He had the cape that connected to his finger,
Many
so when he would
metals,
open
yes.
it up, it would be like very
Bat wing it.
like a wing, yes,
Yeah.
like an owl.
Like
or
you jump out of
something.
an airplane.
Like the squirrel suits.
Yeah.
That you'd free dive off of.
But like filled with like lavish metals and,
And
like
more.
jewels.
I tried to get him on the show to pick football games for us.
What happened?
He died.
I was so close. I was so
He
close.
died is what happened.
Sort of.
So what do you mean sort of?
Well, did he ever really die?
And mucho amor, which is his catchphrase, mucho amor would end kind of the astrology reading. But he would like rapid fire through all of the different astrological signs and like give you a word of encouragement for the day.
Like Leo, hoy es tu día. Mira el sol para tu amor. And then he.
A lot of hand movements too.
And it's what he was doing is passing and receiving energy. So I messed with his vibes.
Wow.
He was a showman.
He was giving you gifts, dude, of like just
Of
positivity, encouragement.
Of encouragement.
Telling you to look into the sun, look at the stars, feel the moon,
Yeah, he's
embrace water.
Sientes el amor hoy es porque la luna se está llamando.
Exactly.
Like, all right.
You're like,
All right,
you
dude.
go out at night like,
All right, sick, dude.
what do I do? The moon's not out tonight.
Yes.
He had a ton of crystal balls, which
Yeah.
made me feel like he was a magician when I was a kid. Because he would like, you know what he had? Remember like at like science museums where you'd have that crystal ball
With
that
the
would shoot you
electricity?
electricity?
Yeah.
He had that.
And
And
make
he
your
was just
hair
like,
stand.
a lot of smoke too in the background.
A lot of, yeah. A lot
You
of,
think it's real?
So you almost bought a cape.
Yeah.
What happened?
I didn't go to the estate sale.
Is that your biggest regret?
It is. No. There's two. Walter related.
Okay.
Well, three Walter related biggest regrets. One, I didn't buy one of his capes when they were available at his estate sale.
Was there a ballpark, really quick? Was there a ballpark for the cape? Because that can't be a cheap.
I don't remember what it was, but I think that it was like somewhat affordable. But like, it's also one of those things where like I would like it, and then I would look at it in my closet 2 years later and be like, I can't believe I spent $3,000. This is worthless. So why did I do
What would
this?
your wife say if you came home with a what the?
We weren't married at the time, so I would have been able to get away with it. Now, not a chance in hell. No way I could buy that. When I was
Okay, so
married.
second Walter Mercado story.
I tried to get him to come on the show to pick football games.
Which would have been electric.
We were so close to making it happen so many times, and then he got sick.
Global superstar.
Yeah.
Walter Mercado
Yeah.
picking
Global.
football
He's
games.
global.
It would have been the best. And then the third one, I was invited. They did a documentary on him, like Netflix did one, and I was invited.
That's right. Mucho amor, the show.
I was invited to the like premiere because I knew one of the people that worked on it, and I didn't go, and he was there. I was on vacation, and I came back, and then he was there. He was like he came out on a throne.
On a
they
throne,
walked
yeah,
around,
yeah.
and he died like a month later.
Yeah.
That's Hispanic culture, though. Like this guy right here, joining
Lots of
people together.
superstition, yeah.
Doesn't matter what you were. If you were Latin American, Hispanic, from the Caribbean, you listened to this guy, and he told you all the things you needed to know.
Those three were categories of people that were
Yeah,
very
it was
close
like
together.
it's a Venn diagram about it.
In his movie,
in the middle.
In the movie, doesn't he go to Russia? Like, isn't it like a part of it in Russia? Like, dude, I think he was
goes
big,
everywhere.
He was big in Russia.
He's a global
Google it.
superstar.
I'm serious. He was big in Russia.
Rest in peace, Walter Mercado. Let's give a crucifix one for him.
And like a star kiss.
Thank you, Bill.
Stars.
And look right into the light. Lewis, let's have more Walter Mercadoisms because you don't have him now to say these things. We need you to say them.
Tauro, hoy es el día de la tierra. Responde a la llamada y mira el amor. Piscis, Las estrellas se ilumbran hoy para ti.
Scorpio.
Oh, Scorpio, mucho fuego. El olor del amor está en tu casa. And I love the song you love, dude.
Guys, I think we can all agree there's only one man that can lure us into a women's bathroom. And it's this man right here, Mercado. Rest in peace to an absolute legend. Because without him, we would not know where the stars, the moon, the sea, or anything was. Rest in peace, Mercado. Mi gente, thank you for watching Tony Tonight.